Check in motivation. Okay, so this is an exercise that comes from Khenchen Lama Rinpoche. I will join to this video links to find him. He shows this movement in lots of places. It's a very beautiful set of mudras, which is not so easy to do actually, and I recommend this practice together with the mantra of Guru Rinpoche, Padma, specifically in these times that are so challenging. Guru Rinpoche is the practice, in my point of view, through Tibetan Buddhism that can really guide us and help us to go through these times and transform our own emotions, which is actually my motivation to share and to also learn myself how to be able to do that. So I'm not doing this video live like I did the others on Instagram, because in this case I wanted to be a little bit more elaborate, and with the Instagram live it's not so easy for me. So I'm trying a little system now. So we have been going through, anyway, you can find the videos, they are always called I like intuitive, D like Dharma, and S like study. And there's a 1, 2, 3 with hashtag before, hashtag IDS, 1, 2, 3, 4 on Instagram for now. This is a laboratory. I'm learning how to do this. I'm Yuma Mudra, and I am sharing my experience practicing Buddha Dharma since I would say really seriously 1981, but I was already into that before, since I was 15 years old. So my experience now is that it is very important to come along as much as I can in communication, even though I really enjoy being alone. I really enjoy being retired from the world. I like it so much, and so it's maybe also one of my motivations to be careful that I don't get too much comfortable in this, but also that I can learn how is it I can share this experience. I have founded the Dansa Duende network, and through that experience I have a lot of I would say memories about how to work with dance, with the body and with people. But in this case I want to go deeper. So it is not so different from what I have been doing all my life, but in the same time it is deeper and really related directly and namely to Buddha Dharma, which was not always the case before. Working with the body is very important, so I have been explaining lately different things, like the nakedness of, this was the first video about the nakedness, how that is ornament, and what could that mean in my case, how I understand that. I was also in the second talking about how we could sustain complexity, in the same time taking the source of simplicity of the nature of our own mind, even if it's not always very easy to find the nature of our own mind. How is it that we could kind of have a glance of the glimpse of that gap that happens to all of us, because all of us do possess the potential of the very basic goodness of the nature of our own existence in our own mind. Of course, I'm talking a little bit beyond materialistic appearances. And how can we find a way to do that? So it's not only that I want to share my experience, it's also that I would like to also point out to some things that seems to me very interesting and important. So one of them which I have been talking about last time is the attention to the body, the mindfulness of the body. I would like to really enhance the importance of that, specifically for people, modern people and more people of the West, because without this coming back to the mindfulness of our body, very simply, which is the basic of the teachings of the Buddha, it's very difficult to understand whatsoever anything about the practice. If you're completely disconnected from all the basic sensations of your body, first it's very difficult for the mind to relax in the present moment, because the body gives it the heaviness needed for that mind to learn how to find its own pace and its own clarity, thanks to, in this case, the precious human body. The human body becomes precious thanks to the mindfulness of the body. Otherwise, it's very difficult, it would be precious. Mindfulness of the body doesn't mean that you are beautiful, making nice movements to show on Instagram or whatever, or to earn any money. It's not about that. It's about a very subtle, powerful, personal, very intimate relationship with the body, and also, I would say, with the subtle movements of the energy in the body, which is absolutely needed, even if it is at a very simple, basic, I would say, degree. Of course, you could go further, you could go into much more difficult options, but the basics are very useful and are, I would say, completely purposeful and needed. Excuse for my English, I will improve also my English slowly. So this little mantra thing I used to set up our motivation, your motivation for listening. Hopefully maybe you really fully listen. The indications for listening is to listen a little bit like if you had a bowl that would be empty and ready to receive your food, or that the bowl is not upside down, it is not full of poison, and it is not having some holes that everything that you would receive just gets out of the bowl. So this is the idea of how to listen to whatever we're listening to. We don't need to judge what we're listening in the first place, because slowly mindfulness makes you get very slowly maybe into what vipassana really means, the deep view. And that deep view does know what is right and what is wrong, and does know what is accurate and what is lying, and does know how to hold complexity without becoming confused. So the mantra is with the movements are very interesting, because as you have to go with each finger, I told you it's from I'm going to check the name that I don't say any mistake, because I don't know him personally. It is Khenchen Lama Rinpoche. So Khenchen Lama Rinpoche, I observed his videos, and he were, from what I understood, probably I need more instructions, but from what I understood, you start from your heart, and then you go on the top of your head with the same on Om, and then you open to cruise on your heart to Ah, which has to do with the throat and the speech. The first one was the body. And then you go back with Hum, which is the mind, at the level of the heart, Hum with a triangle. This triangle starts to unit, to come back down. And when you come back to your heart, you start with this one, if I'm not wrong. I hope I'm not, but if I'm wrong, I will advise you later, or maybe you check yourself with Khenchen Lama Rinpoche. When you close the fingers and you come with your thumbs like this. So we were saying Om, and we were saying Ah, and then we were saying Hum. And here we're saying BENZAR with this finger. So BENZAR is VAJRA. In Tibetan accent, the Tibetan are not able to say VAJRA like in Sanskrit, so they say the same word with an accent, which becomes BENZAR. Guru Guru is easy to say with the thumbs, Guru. And then Padma, which is the lotus. Here it's more difficult. I had a hard time doing it. So what I needed is to stretch a little bit my fingers and then come apart and keep this one, the finger of the married people. So Padma, SIDDHI, which is the power, yes, with the little fingers, and then Hung, which is the end of the mantra, with the middle finger, the sun finger, yeah? And then from here, you feel that you can come back to this, the spot, which is like, we would say the zero place, no? The place where you come back to the ground, just to the not anything special doing, not anything special saying, and not anything special thinking. It's just being present. So this is a very good practice in my point of view. I recommend it, and it could be a way of checking your motivation and coming back to yourself, because sometimes we start doing things and our mind is all over the place, so that thing does not really help in the sense of long-term fruits in our lives. Nowadays there's lots of conflicts going on in the world. I will not comment my opinion about these things or my non-opinion about whatever, but I do comment that it seems extremely important to train all of us, each human being, female, male, whatever kind of sex we think we would like to believe we are, or whatever age we have, that we really train on transforming our emotions. And you will never be able, not you, neither me, to train the emotion without the mindfulness. So this mindfulness is not a thing that you do in a course that is for a few weeks and then you have a diploma. That is not the mindfulness. The mindfulness is being mindful all day long for the sake of all beings and for the attainment of enlightenment, which is not something to do, but something to undo somehow. Somehow this mindfulness is what helps us to let go of what is absolutely not needed. And so in that case, it becomes possible to work really directly with the energy of our emotions. So this is a little bit the map of what I am challenging myself to go through with you step by step, very slowly, and taking my own time. So I don't have any schedule. I do the videos when I feel it's a good moment for me, in the sense that I feel I'm able to express clarity and to express some kind of genuine, maybe, I hope, useful something. But I don't know when is next, and I don't know which day at what time. Okay, so far it's like that. Also, I'm invited you, before we go on with this, I invited all of you to exchange with me, and it would be really very appreciated that we do have some exchange of questions or answers or opinions about this work. It's very useful. It helps me to understand what is the relevance of whatever is it I'm offering, and it also can help me to improve, and it helps also the video to be seen by people. So in this case, to make also sense that it is being useful for a little bit more than just one or two friends. Okay, so today I just want, before we start talking a little bit more about the mindfulness of the body and why it is useful and why it can actually help us to sustain the complexity which is needed also nowadays, is to sustain the complexity of this life. This life is extremely rich with lots of information, lots of, I would say, means and ways and tools. And so if we are not able to sustain the complexity, we start to feel, I would say, bias, no? Or to feel that maybe unbalanced, or to feel that at one moment we are so motivated and so inspired, and then the next moment so depressed, and that is not the sign of a good, stable shamatha. I would say, like what we called shine in Tibetan, which is the first step for vipassana. There's no vipassana without shamatha, which is called in Tibetan shine. Shine is Shiwa, the peace, and Nepa is to be in a place, like living in a house is like Nepa. Okay, so Ne is the place, and Shi is the peace, the peaceful state of mind. And that peaceful state of mind is inherent. It is not something that we are building. It is a source of our own presence that exists, and it is not dependent on circumstances. So the whole point of practicing in sitting, if we do sit in meditation, is to understand these things always in the point of view of Buddhism, for the sake of the goodness of all beings, of myself, of course, and also of attaining enlightenment, which is to let go of what is not needed. Okay, so I'm trying as my best possible to remain very clear in what this is about. So now I'm going to do just a little bit of exercise in front of you. It is the kind of things I do for myself when I want, because in my case, I have a certain age, I'm above 60, and I felt that I was having some little bones issues, probably due to my past as a classical dancer. It can help to have bones issues if you're not careful. And so I will share with you little things that I do. They are not some kind of a convention. They are not a set up of movements that I always repeat the same way. But they became a structure that is useful in my case. Of course, there is an inner work that is sustaining this, but I will not explain the inner part of it today. If people are interested in exchange with me on these videos, I will get into the inner parts slowly, okay? Yeah? Okay. So in this case, like, imagine that if, for example, you're just starting your day or starting at one moment, and then I was standing up because I went out of bed. Of course, everything happens before in bed is also interesting, how you get up, how you awake. But in this case, let's say I was awakened and I find a place here where my legs are aligned. Why? Because I'm looking forward to have energy that circulates in my body so that all the joints are not in tension one with the other, but they are aligned, a little bit like these stones when you put stones all upon each other. Of course, there's a lot of possibility to suck the energy from your feet and suck the energy from your hips, but as I said, we won't comment that now. So of course, I would rather very often start by this. I will be very careful that my shoulders don't go up, because also the shoulders are an issue when you have bones issues. So I will bring them a little bit down together with the omoplate. In the same time I'm going up, actually everything is going down. So I have this extension between going up and going down, and feeling how the two hands join like the sun and the moon. And then I can let the energy come here. As I told you, I improvise. It's never exactly the same thing how I do it. I let the energy from the sky and the light of the stars, of the sun, come in the body, go through the body. Then I come back to my kidneys, because now it's winter. And from the kidneys, I'm going to push very slightly, like with my hands, they are warm and they are alive. And I push the energies of the meridian behind my legs. I push them, I push them, I push them. And then I let my head, I'm very careful that my head aligns here with the spine. I'm not tense on my knees. And I push a little bit the weight of my body on the floor with my feet, and from the spine at the bottom, I come up slowly, 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 slowly. I'm going to cross, and here I will let the sky open again. And it is a short little movement because I don't have much time, imagine, okay? I don't have much time, so I roll here, and I want to come to the floor, and I will expiration, inspiration, expiration. And here I check a little bit that I'm not putting all of my weight on my feet, and I'm not either heavy or tense. And I will go here like a spiral here and keep my belly button pushing up the spine here. Then I can arrive here. As I told you, I don't have much time, so I'm doing it shortly. It's a little bit like a prostration that I transformed into an exercise. And here I can come back here and push from my belly button up to the spine. And here from here, I will create like a pyramid with the whole of my body. It's like a pyramid. We will talk about the breath on another video, okay? And here I come here. I come back very, very gently. I align my joints. And here I come back as I was before. I already can feel the energy, and I need this energy to feel my belly, and behind the belly the whole container beneath. And here I will take with my hands on my heels and look forwards to bring this up. Okay. Expiration, for example, and I come back. And here, because I don't want to spend too much time, because let's imagine I'm in a hurry, from here I will look forwards to roll. I will roll on my back. So from here, what I want to do, because I'm working with my spine mainly, but what I want to do is first to check my legs, and then check that I can, voila, work with my legs and the weight. And this rolls and rolls, so it makes a massage, but I can also roll and let this part here, and I check there's no hurt, it's okay. So I'm much better than 1 year ago. I did hurt myself 1 year ago with taking up some packages. Okay, so now this hurts a little bit, but not really. It's more stiff. It doesn't hurt anymore, but it is a little bit stiff. That's okay. You just let go of commentaries. You touch and go. What does that mean? It means you feel what's going on. You have some kind of a control, but the control is only the necessary, because you need your mind to be present on the spot. Okay, so that's one thing. And from here, of course, this can become a way of coming up very easily. So you have your relationship with the floor needs to be really, really soft and easy, like in Aikido, like for example, Judo and Aikido. How is it you relate with the sensation of the floor and your weight? So here I would like have this thing, and I do that. That's quite easy. I can also put this like that, because I'm a fancy dancer. I like to make forms. This is a circle, and this is 2 triangles, and the 2 triangles together give a form that's very interesting. And I look a little bit there, and then I can do it again on the other side, which means I have to remember naturally, how did I, well, this was what I did with you, but now I'm going to do directly my triangles, okay? So this is the triangles. I'm looking here, I check my spine. I want to have, because I enjoy having a circle and triangles, because geometry is part of mindfulness in the body. And you breathe. Okay, and then from here, I could actually, from here, decide to come here. And from here, I could decide to do this. So I have a whole set of movement. There's more than that, but today that will be enough. That I go forwards and backwards with that. Forwards and backwards. And I use space as my witness, but space is like consistence that gives me a memory. What do I mean by that? I mean that in space, I feel I'm making a sculpture inside of space, like making some kind of a path inside of a solid space. So I don't have to think too much how to go backwards and forwards, because my body goes always through the same path. So I'm not worried with my body, I'm more relying on the memory of space itself. So this is a way you can work with your body. And also what you can do also, if you have your back issues and you really want to get better, so you can also lift here with inspiration, like if you were lifting like this. And from here you can a little bit play, like you let go one, you let go the other, let go one and the other. For example, you turn, and then with inspiration you do one vertebra, 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 vertebra. And your toes, with your toes you do like this, to bring your legs down. And you can do it several times. Today I won't do it more, because my purpose was just to start entering in the cycle of illustrating how we can work with our body. So I'm going to bring this video a little bit closer so that I can talk a little bit with you people. As you know, I'm learning how to do this properly. Okay, so hopefully this will work, okay? We're at 28 minutes, so that was not too bad. So we checked our motivation. I have been explaining to you a little bit more what is my idea of this work I'm starting to record. I was asking you people to relate with me, I hope, so I could have exchange. And I also gave a little bit of a feedback of the other videos I've been doing. They are on Instagram, live Instagram. I don't even know how to download them, so I'm not able to. I don't know how you do that. So you have to go on Instagram to see them. And now I already told you also about Kenshin Lama Rinpoche and these mudras, which I find extremely useful related to Padmasambhava. And of course, we can have some videos a little bit playful, talking about actually who doesn't know Padmasambhava, what is his story. But today I want to remain more focused on the mindfulness of the body. I forgot my glasses, I have to get them. So excuse me, just a little moment. I have to find my glasses, or maybe I have another pair of glasses here. Yeah. Can I take other ones? So you see, even when you sit down, it's not that you are in control and worried about your posture. It's not so much that. It's more like finding, it's the animals are good at that, you know, and we lost that, but we need it, you know. It's finding how your whole of your body is actually the brain. The brain is not just here. It's a way of talking, okay? Of course the brain is here, but the brain is all over the body and also beyond somehow, no? Because the brain is a little bit like this kind of tool that is able to receive and send information. So if it's in all of your body, it's very different. And the mindfulness of the body is also about that. It has to do also with perceptions, the eyes, the ears, the nose, the mouth, tasting, smelling, and touching. It has to do with all that, but each time that we are training, mind training and body training, it's step by step, and it's always the most important thing is what you are doing now. It's okay if you have a million other things to do. There's no other million things to do if this one is not done, because it's always like that, no? It's always that one. You know, like if you play piano, each time you touch one of these, I don't know the word in English, well, you have to touch it, because even if you have lots of them to do later, not what you're doing now is this one. So it's really like that. So when you sit, you stand up, the mindfulness of the body makes you able to remember to be present to the movements, to the postures, to the breath, not in a sense of control, but more in a sense of flow, like animals. So that's the best comparison I have. Cats are really good at that. Now, you also need, of course, to re-educate yourself, because we have not been used to that. And it is important when you re-educate yourself that your set of mind is free, and I would call it innocent, and somehow potentially joyful. Joyful is not excited, or elation, it's more like children. I remember as a child, even if there was lots of problems all around, I didn't have that easy childhood, you know. But I was joyful inside. There was something in me that was not tamed. I don't say it's always the case, but I think for lots of us is the case. If you could see my video that far, you must have that. Otherwise you would be gone. Yeah. So when you sit and when you do things, you'll slowly be aware of the feeling, like here you feel the touch. You don't have to make it very that noticeable to show off. That's not a good idea, because your mindset, if it's innocent, it's not like that. Yeah, the innocent mindfulness. It is like you are being mindful, but you're not being stiff and not also making agendas. So it is very important to understand that these habitual tendencies are actually completely binded. The bound between them, how they are binded, is actually in the body memory. The body did get used to certain states of mind and to certain emotions, very subtle. Like if you open a book and you smell, for whoever still opens books, you smell that perfume in the book and you remember that time of your life. It could be also a taste, you know, you taste suddenly some kind of a honey that you didn't taste for many years, but when you had the first taste of that honey, you were in a very nice place and suddenly you remember the whole thing. But everything is like that, actually. Everything we project and we interpret are through this set of projection and memory of our projections. So we actually never really remember things as they are, and be careful, because things as they are is always submitted to the idea that this is human perceptions. Never forget that there's lots of perceptions that are different, so things are not as they are ultimately. It's just the way that we as a human being with a human body in the first, first step of our practice, how we relate to things as they are. Of course, more you relate to things as they are, more you're going to discover they're absolutely not like we thought they were. But this is the first step, yeah? So you feel these things and touch and go. So when you feel this or that, you feel it, but then no need to make a whole theory about it, because that's blocking the presence to the next one, because it's non-stop, no? As we are alive in the body, in the material world, it's non-stop sensations, non-stop breathing, non-stop movements, and this is the dance of the yoga. So the yoga is actually, this is what I'm talking about, this is the yoga, okay? Yoga is not that you are able to do very nice postures. Very nice postures are very nice. Now, yoga is not that. It's very important to say that. You can do very nice postures and beautiful and have no yoga at all whatsoever done. And you can also do no nice postures and do have the yoga present. So it's very much, I repeat myself, related to intimacy with oneself. This is the only thing you are in charge of, really fully, is how is it that you as a person, you are becoming the potential of goodness that is awaiting inside of you, because that's really what human world is about, and that's what's missing so much. And we will never be able to find a solution to this modern nowadays problem of complexity without lots of people becoming yogi. I mean low profile yogi. Okay. So I found a text. I'm very sorry I don't know who is the text, because these are some copies I made very long time ago. And you know, my life, I had lots of, like, my house burned, lots of things happened. So I don't even know where this text comes from. So I'm sorry if I cannot tell the source of this. It's in French, so I'm going to take little things in French and directly translate them into English the best I can. This is a person that is talking about putting the body at the center of the mindfulness, and it is talking about the instructions of Buddha, of Lord Buddha. And this person also is a little bit telling his or her own story. I will just talk a little bit about this text, not the whole of it, it's very big. So the person says, when I started my practice as a Buddhist, I did not have the intention to discover my body. I had no idea how much the body was important on the path. I only knew I had to sit it to meditate. So then she talks about a lot of things, and then comes up to say, I learned that the mindfulness of the body is the foundation of the practice of mindfulness and one of our best friends to integrate practice into daily life. So this is what we are into, okay? Without this mindfulness of the body in daily life, we are not going to be able very easily to sustain complexity, neither to be truthful to ourselves and transform our emotions and to see truly what's going on with ourselves. And of course, because of that, subsequently, we will be very unable to relate to other people's emotion. I mean, in the sense of compassion and love, and also, in the same time, very important, some kind of wisdom. Buddha himself said, there is something that when it is cultivated regularly and practiced, will bring the intention, will bring to a deep spiritual intention, will bring to the peace and to the mindfulness and to the clarity of understanding and to the vision and to the knowledge and to a happier life here and now and to the combination of the wisdom and to the enlightenment. Here he said awakening, excuse me, awakening. And what is this unique thing? It is to concentrate your attention on the body. And in another text, the Buddha said, if the body is not cultivated, the mind cannot be cultivated. If the body is cultivated, then the mind can be cultivated. So here, after this person says very accurate things about how much Occidental people talk about Buddhism, but they don't really focus on the attention to their body to start with, which is true. And I, as a dancer, know a lot about this. I really also know how much, even in the Buddhist field, it is very difficult to share with people the importance of the body. Because very often people look at you and say, I don't know how to dance, I don't know this, they're ashamed. And then they think, it's so beautiful what you do, but I cannot do that. And very often the problem is not so much only this shame and this duality of the other does, I can't do. It's not so much that. Really the problem is how much the person in that case does not enter into the true potential of what it is to be alive in a human body, which is the precious human body. Yeah. So we do study in Tibetan Buddhism how precious is the human body. But to really live that, I mean, once you learned all of this, because remember, Tibetan people, when they learned that, they had a body, they were not unmindful of the body, because they had a very different style of life with very little food and very simple food, always the same food, and no TV, no phones, no. The life was like long time, lots of time, and lots of nothing to be distracted with, except of course the human usual stuff, no? But very basic life. So in that context, the people did have a body because they did have to go up and down, get water in the mountains, of course, and to get up and to take care of this or to take care of that, or the animals or whatever. It's very different from people nowadays if they're born in New York, or I don't know, I was born in Paris and raised in Detroit, Michigan. So, you know, it's very far from this basic life of the nature. Now I live in the nature, so I know also how very basically physical that is, you know, with the good sides and the difficult sides. But it's very important if you are motivated to transform somehow the causes of suffering and to sort out how is it I can, it's a little bit like, you know, you have a mix of rice and beans, and you put the bean here and the rice here, you know, that's something we should do someday. It's very important that when you are working with yourself, you know, that you do understand how much the preciousness of the body is something to be felt. Experience it. It is not an ideal. It is not to say that even if you have a body problem, I have body problems, okay? I have issues with my health. That doesn't make your body not precious if you are able to deal with that. You understand? So it's not about that. It's not about being aesthetically perfect. Even if you do choose the dance is really healthy. The dance has a very good thing, is that when you dance and you bring mindfulness in the dance, and you bring the mindfulness of breath and the mindfulness of everything in your dance, dance does relate directly to the joyful space of pure nature of mind. It's like that. That's why in all the text of the higher level of Mahamudra and the higher level of Dzogchen, you have all the time people saying the dance of the energy, the dance of this, the dance of that. And then you wonder sometimes, I did, well, we're talking about dance, why don't people dance? You know, because that's about dance. So maybe you start to be aware that the whole thing is dancing, even if you don't move. Because it's not, dancing is not about moving around. It's not about expressing all your frustrations. It can be that, but it's not only that. So of course, when you dance, there is a therapeutical, natural, and also wisdom natural drive into that, which children usually have. And that old people also have, actually. But that in between children and old people, lots of us lost that. And so if you are using dance to work on your mindfulness, it's really nice because you can also feel happy, you can breathe better, you can get into the music, you can study the rhythms of the music, and that will bring in your life structure. It will bring in your life some kind of joy. Of course, I'm talking about Buddhism here, okay? So we're not talking about the fact that your dance is this style or another style. We're not talking about that. We're talking about mind training related with movement and the body mindfulness. Yeah. So if I go a little bit further into this text, this person said something very interesting, because this person later went to Thailand and worked with Ajahn Buddhadasa. And that person organized a retreat of 10 days. And so this Ajahn Buddhadasa, who was a master in Thailand. And that person told whoever wrote this text, which I don't know who that is, don't do anything that makes you get out of your body. So I think this is very interesting. Of course, nowadays everybody wants to get out of the body. It seems fancy. But actually, it's not at all the practice of Buddha Dharma. Because at one point, maybe it will happen. No? In your practice, maybe you will relate with the dreams and with what's going on in your dreams and with much more deeply forms of the body that are not materialistic. But let's start by the beginning, no? Why not? It's very, I would say, a good idea, no? To start by the beginning. Because otherwise it could become, fancy, exciting. Oh, I get out of my body and I have these dreams and I do that and I know that and my intuition. And yeah, of course. But at one point, if it is not related to the structural truth of how you are sitting, how you are feeling, how you are breathing, it can become some kind of craziness, okay? It can go very far in craziness. Nowadays we can see that, it's very obvious. So this is a little bit what I wanted to talk about in relation with this text. Then I will end up with a last experience I had. So here I'm just going to finish about this text a little piece. He says in the Western culture we have the tendency to believe in a radical duality between the body and the mind. But the Buddha, Lord Buddha, would see body and mind, the human body and mind, extremely intimacy linked together. So a little bit further, he says, the mindfulness of your body can help our ability to be present for the emotions and the painful emotions or the afflictions, and can help us to recognize that our body is the recipe, or the container, the container of these emotions. So this is very important, because when we go through the 4 mindfulnesses, the first one is mindfulness of the body, the second is the mindfulness of the emotions, okay? So we will go on with this in the future, hopefully. And the mindfulness of the thoughts, and the mindfulness of our intentions, the mind's formations in your mind, what's going on in the mind, okay? So this is what I wanted to talk about this text and the body and the mindfulness of the body. So all people interested can start. You can also practice meditation. I recommend the shamatha meditation, and I will, if you wish to, or maybe even if you don't ask me for, come back with shamatha meditations explanations, very basic ones. But for now, what you can do is already start to relate with mindfulness of the body simply, and mindfulness of how is it you're breathing. Don't judge yourself, let it touch and go. You realize, oh, I'm breathing very short. Okay, you touch and you let it go, and anyway, that's the way you're breathing, and slowly, slowly you let it amend itself. Because of course we will do things to make it better, but on another hand, there is something very precious inside of yourself that wants it to be healed. So that very precious intuition, that is a true one, that does really exist, we may give him some space, some place, so that our mind is not completely full of worry about the control over myself, but more going step by step into driving my energies and my body and my life in a way that is, I would say, a little bit blissful. No, of course, there are challenges. That's it. Anyway, it's exciting to have some challenges, isn't it? No challenges at all is not very human kind of, I would say, satisfaction. No, the human satisfaction needs a little or a big challenge, depends on how you are. So the last thing I wanted to tell you is something that I do, but I'm not recommending to people to do it, but I thought it could be interesting to share that. I noticed that lately, after many years of practicing in retreats and having some kind of a dichotomic relationship with busy life, when I would dedicate myself to dance and also to, I would say, promoting mind training into dance and do lots of things in the Danza Duende network. I had also the other side of myself, which is very much inclined to solitude and inclined to training alone. I love it. So it is not, it's not, people could say, you're so brave. And it's not because I'm brave, because I like it anyway. And so I did find that I had to kind of free myself of this relationship, between feeling sometimes the busyness of life takes me away my time to be, and how my time to be would somehow also get driven sometimes into distractions. Even if I just wanted to dedicate myself to the practice, I would get distracted, because I am naturally interested in everything. I love to learn and to know things, and so I'm a little bit, I would say, eager of informations. And how could I sustain the complexity of this life today and of myself, and in the same time remain rooted as much as I can into the practice, whatever it is happening. May that be sitting or walking, or you remember we said that last time, no? You have these stations, that is to be standing up, to be laying down, to be sitting and walking. That's Buddhism also, mindfulness of the body. So how could I enhance even more than I already did my presence? And I found out that sometimes when I'm listening to informations, because lately I wanted to know things that are going on in the world a little bit. Of course, I take different sources, even sources that don't agree at all. That's one thing. But also I noticed that I could practice in the same time. I could practice in the same time I see a movie. I could practice in the same time I'm listening to somebody talking. I could practice in the same time that I am sorting out lots of informations about things. And actually the basics of that is the mindfulness of the body, but also how in the same time I'm listening to something, maybe I am doing something else. And not getting completely absorbed out of my body by what that person is explaining or that movie, but in the same time I'm completely concentrated on that movie or on that computer thing or on that listening thing, thanks to my mindfulness on the body, which is at the end, the container of that experience of information coming in and going out. So how would that be concretely? One example, that this morning I did these exercises. That's why I'm doing this video now. While I was listening to people talking about what's going on in the Middle East now. We are in October 2023. So I was thinking, as I'm listening to this, I'm going to do in the same time this exercise with my body, and in the same time be listening. And it worked. because it worked also for me to be, I would say, kind of neutral in the emotional listening. Because when you listen to people who are emotional, don't add your own emotion too much. Of course, we always have emotions, but how can you absorb your own emotions together with absorbing what's going on? You need a little kind of, I would call it more neutrality than rationality, because rational can be judgmental. So I would call it more absorbing, in neutrality. Actually, the word neutrality comes from my partner, Michel Ragy. The neutral is not yet wisdom, but it can become the Buddha energy of the center of the mandala of the five wisdoms. The neutrality could become that. But in the first step, it is just something in your mind that doesn't need to take parts. It can stay impartial, at least a little bit, no? So the neutrality is easier with your mindful centering on the body, breathing or moving or whatever is it you're doing as you are listening. And if it is a movie, of course, in the movie you need to look at the movie. So in that case, you will be more relating, we won't talk about that now, with the mindfulness of the emotions. But that's for much later. So thank you very much. May our relationship with the magical the magical communication online become fruitful. Can it give good fruits for all beings, for ourselves and for people around us? And may that be useful for the goodness of the human beings, and of course the animals, and of course all kinds of beings that we cannot perceive, and of course all the nature, and also the arts that human beings have been created for the, I would say, the beauty of our lives.